Okay, the Raiders are now turning their attention to Pete Carroll for their head coach. What do you think about that, David?
Yeah, well, was Stanley about to get in here? No, he's gone. I think that would be a good hire for them. A guy who obviously you don't like it, the experience he has, the success that he's had. What are the reasons that you don't like it?
Too old already, bro. Done.
Yeah, that could work though. I mean, Bruce Arians won a Super Bowl with the Buccaneers.
The beauty of where I'm at now in my life, I love it, by the way. I fucking love it. You're young, so you're afraid to call somebody old. I'm old. And somebody's old, I'm going to tell you, yo, bro, you're too fucking old. And you're not adjusting to life. You know, I see it all the time. All the time. People don't adjust. Life changes. The world changes. And you've got to adjust with it. What do you got for us, Sean?
The Raiders are not just chasing Pete Carroll. They have signed him to a 3-year deal with a 4th-year team option. He is now the head coach of the Las Vegas Raiders.
Will Depends be the sponsor of the stadium? I'm just wondering. I mean, no, seriously. And by the way, this is a guy that ruined a dynasty. Ruined dynasty.
Lost the Super Bowl game. Yeah.
Okay, and he ruined that locker room. He lost those players. It was disastrous, dude. And he never recovered from that. So for me, I just think that sometimes he had it going on for a little bit and then everything went to crap. I think you have to know when to get off the gravy train. And I see this all the time in sports. And I don't know why it is that you don't see something and you have to learn to make the change. And he's no longer, he should not be. That tells you how bad the whole thing is, that you're bringing this retread back at this point. I don't know.
Yeah, well, and it's all a matter of how much a coach adjusts over time to those learning experiences. Now, having some time to remove himself from that situation, then I know you probably think, hey, at his old age, he's not going to change his ways, but that would be on him. And I mean, something that probably came up in interviews, and if not, hey, it'll be another one in the long line of bad Raiders decisions in the 21st century.
He's 73. He'll be 74.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
He'll be 74 September 15th.
By week 2. Yeah.
Brother, somebody runs into him on the sideline. He's dead.
Oh, shit. All right, don't put that out there. Well, that's why you have a get-back coach, the head of security, or someone who stands near you.
It'll barrel him to barrel into the coach. Yeah.
He's been around enough NFL sidelines to know when he's really in danger and when he needs to step back.
Be like diving like it's the president or some shit. So we need to have like a whole bunch of galoots hanging around Pete Carroll. So if there's a guy coming, they gotta like stand in the way and block for the old man. I mean, seriously, dude. Like, I'm sorry, but and people just like, when I told you he ruined the dynasty, a light bulb went off in your head, didn't it? Like, oh yeah, that's right, dude. Like, he never recovered from that. Like, it went down from that. It never ever returned. And so why would you want him now when he couldn't resurrect it? You understand what I'm saying?
No, yeah. The Seahawks went into a decline after that. Obviously, it felt like they were peaking there. They had just won the Super Bowl the year before in convincing fashion against the Broncos, and then to lose that one to the Patriots, which, by the way, at that point, the Patriots had gone, even though Brady was always leading them, and he almost went undefeated one season, the Patriots had gone 10 years without winning a Super Bowl. They had a 3 and 4 years run at first, and then it was separated by 10 years. Was it 3 and 5 years at the end for him with the Patriots, and then also winning one in Tampa. But that kind of shifted it back, and the Seahawks could have won back-to-back Super Bowls, and who knows how long that thing keeps going. But he still held it up for a little bit. I remember they made a playoff appearance. The Legion of Boom went away, and then it had to be Russell Wilson that was leading them instead of Marshawn Lynch and the defense. And they got back into the playoffs at one point.
The running game was very inconsistent.
Yeah, definitely, right.
So I'm just saying, it just, he had his moment and then he lost it. And if he's that good, you regain it and get back on track. And so, and we're not talking
to regain.
And by the way, we're not talking about a great organization in the Raiders either. So it's not like you're going somewhere where the foundation is exceptional and it's like, yo, coach, all you got to do is coach. We'll handle everything. We'll give you all the players. That's not the case. By the way, if you're and your assistant coaches, like, this isn't a long-term thing either. This could be a very short-term thing. You're not going to have a very stable assistant coaching group either with him, because this is not a long-term solution. You're in the Raiders, bro. Plus, you're in a cheap organization too. On top of all of that, because they don't pay coaches. So, I mean, this is I don't know, man. It's just me. But whatever.
And in the draft too, they got the short end of the stick, falling all the way to 6. Because they won in week 17, I believe. I'd have to I don't remember what game that was, but they won a game. They got to 4-13, and now they're picking 6. I remember thinking about, if the Raiders grabbed Cam Ward when they were like up in the 2-3 range, and then I was like, oh man, they're just gonna ruin Cam Ward. But yeah, I mean they ended up falling all the way to 6 by winning that game.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's just kind of a weird thing, man, overall. All right. Your thoughts on Robert Prince?
Yeah. So the first name surfaces as a candidate for Dolphins wide receivers coach. The Dolphins really keep things under wraps when they're interviewing guys. And it's only kind of when it gets out through other channels that these names come out. I guess it's sort of a strategy that they've had. It seems consistent throughout the years I've been covering the team, even from head coaches and so on. The whole Mike McDaniel search and defensive coordinator searches that have come since then. But Robert Prince, familiarizing myself with him, obviously just coming from wide receivers coach in Dallas. So obviously has had a group with CD Lamb over there. So an old school coach from my understanding. He's 59 years old, so he's not up there like a Pete Carroll at 73, but he's got some football under his belt where maybe he could be that kind of coach that at his position you need for a group with a Tyreek Hill, a personality like him, a Jalen Waddle, and then also to bring in or to bring up some of the young guys like a Malik Washington who already is so mature and doesn't. Well, I don't want to say doesn't need the coaching. Everyone needs coaching, but just a very coachable player to go with. Hey, at the top, you have a personality like Tyreek Hill that you have to get under wraps. So maybe someone who could play that part. So you would hope so if he is indeed the guy.
Let's hope so. Do we know if they have a timeline at all for this? Because like you said, they keep pretty much all this stuff under wraps. So what do we know about this hire or anybody else?
Yeah, I'm not aware of other names right now, but depending on if they already are out there or if it's a matter of still bringing in other guys. Remember, a lot of these things, they work from the top down. So we're still just getting head coaching hires right now. I mean, up to the minute, like with Pete Carroll and then Liam Cohen last night in Jacksonville, going from Tampa Bay over there. So a lot of these coaching hires, they work from the top down. So if head coaches are still getting jobs right now, then it's kind of like some of the coordinator spots fill in with the guys who missed out on head coaching jobs, who were up for those. Like that's how the Dolphins ended up with Anthony Weaver last year after he interviewed for a couple head coaching spots. ends up then where defensive coordinators start filling out. Vic Fangio had already left. Anthony Weaver becomes the guy with the Dolphins. So then maybe it takes that long. But if Robert Prince and the Dolphins and they agree, hey, he's the guy we want, it's not like Robert Prince is going for any OC openings or anything like that, then you could end up having him slide right in. So maybe it could be as early as this upcoming week. But if it'll take more time for other coordinator spots to fill in and vacancies to get completed, then maybe it takes a little bit longer, depending also on if there are other candidates that are also looking into those other openings.
You going to the Senior Bowl?
I'm not. For us, it'll be Chris Perkins. I'll be on the Combine later, a month later, and also owners meetings when it's over in Palm Beach after we have that first wave of free agency, kind of that first press conference after with Mike McDaniel, get all the reaction from all the moves, and Chris Greer will he speaks at the Combine. So
yeah, they don't do the Senior Bowl anymore.
As far as the 1 year I covered it,
Greer, Lundstedt, whatever, everybody used to talk at the Senior Bowl.
Yeah, that's what I heard. Yeah,
everybody used to talk at the Senior Bowl, and they eliminated that. Like they've been doing over the years. It's less and less and less and less access. It's just kind of the way it goes. So now they only do the Combine thing. And what is it? The Combine where he does the podium and then he does a separate one for the local people, and that's it?
No, Mike McDaniel would do the podium.
Right.
And that would be it. And then Chris Greer does a sit down with local media, which I prefer. Yeah, it's a more intimate setting. And then also you don't get all the national people or beat writers of other teams taking up your time. Because, I mean, you got so many things regarding the Dolphins that you need to ask the general manager, and you might not be able to get to, even as you coordinate with other media members that are traveling, like, hey, let's make sure we're efficient, we got to make sure we get this, and that. And then, if you had someone from who knows where, like just going to the podium, like, oh, I want to ask Chris Greer about this, and then ends up taking up some valuable time answering some questions that you don't need answers to.
We used to get the coach every year at the Super Bowl. Every year, guaranteed on the Wednesday practice. Right after the Wednesday practice, Harvey would, bring whoever the coach was at that moment, and then we'd do the interview there in the Senior Bowl. And in the Combine, you would get the coach at the podium with everybody, and then the coach would do something on the side with you guys, and then the GM would do something on the side also. So that's how much it's changed, that you don't even get that like that anymore, So it's just I mean, the Senior Bowl has really changed. God, it's gotten so corporate, man.
Yeah.
Jesus, it's hard to get players. When I used to be at Radio Row, I would get 3, 4, 5, 6 players in a day. Now you'd be lucky to get 5 players in a week.
Yeah. I covered the Senior Bowl my first year on the beat after completing my first season. And then that's what I noticed. I would hear about how you used to be able to have so much access. Now, that year, the Dolphins were going through a coaching search. So at that time, and then also that was the day I was covering our Senior Bowl practice when Brian Flores dropped the bombshell lawsuit. So I also didn't know if the access was restricted in anticipation that was coming, or if it was completely unrelated. It seems unrelated, though, because it has still maintained the same way when we send Chris Perkins over for us in the years since. And it's more so where he ends up covering the prospects as far as the stories that he writes. But even the year I covered
prospects, you get less access to.
Right. That's what I was just going to get to, is that the year I covered, it was like, it was also the year after COVID. So it was like 2021 going into January 2022. And at the end of the 21 season, there was still like some COVID outbreaks. If you remember, it wasn't like 2020, but there were still some like at the end where the NFL went back into some protocols. And I think that kind of just spilled over into the Senior Bowl, where then They said interviews will only be done on the field where media has to be in the stands interviewing the players on the field to keep distance, and it's a select few. So it was like they decided for you. So I couldn't even get a lot of the guys that I wanted, and then I just kind of like had to make do with whoever they got for us. So it wasn't ideal. But I did see that this year they have a media day where all of them are available. So that could
be scrum, and it's like it's like group. It's like the Super Bowl, so it's lame. It's just not. It's really gone too corporate. They called me from Mobile. Was it like 3 days ago? And said, "Hey man, you coming?" I said, "Yeah, I'm done, man. I'm done. It's not worth it. It's not worth me spending all that money, and I don't have access. I don't get players. I want to be able to talk to players. Because I'll sit there on Radio Row to do my show, and we used to be the girls used to go fetch me players. I would every year, I would get every quarterback.
Wow.
Right. So once you started taking all that away from me, that takes away from the show. My listeners don't get to hear the prospects. Screw you. I'm done. Because you want to charge me like $1,000 to have the table there for the week?
Bro,
$1,000.
Okay, yeah. I didn't even realize that part of it too. Yeah.
The line alone, not the ISDN, whatever it is now, they charge you like $600 just for the line. So it's like, wait a minute, dude. It's like, yeah, I'm good. Yeah, no, And it's by the way, I used to not get charged. I used to walk in, set it up. It was phone lines and dial-ups and shit because it was, we're talking about 15, 20 years ago. And I wouldn't get charged a damn thing. And we'd have, one of those machines that I'd take with me to sign us on, and boom, and I had all access. And it was great because I would get all the players, and then I'd have all the NFL people there. So I could walk over during a break, grab an NFL person, either a writer, either a scout or a coach or whatever, and I'd bring them over to the table. It was great. But now, no way. Now you notice they don't hang around nearly as much around the media in that area. They kind of like disappear and all that. And they're not in the bars at night nearly as much because of cell phone.
Yeah, but you can still catch some people out there. Actually, it's a lot of the agents, the agents more so that you'll catch.
I'm not as interested to talk to the agents. Actually, I'm more interested in talking to scouts and assistant coaches and shit like that. You rarely get the head coaches, but you get a lot of scouts. You get a lot of assistant coaches. Those are the people I want to talk to. I
will say, I will say, Mike McDaniel is visible out there at the combine. He is, because he's such a social guy that at the combine. I remember just last year I had a figure in my head of how many over the 3 years that Mike was already head coach of the Dolphins and I covered the combine, right? Would it be the 3 previous years. How many nights I had gone to a certain bar and then and saw him out there, not drinking, of course, but just seeing him out there, with just socializing. Even though like I mentioned earlier, he'll do the podium, but he doesn't do like a separate sit down. It's Chris Greer. But he is very accessible as far as just like to chat if you see him out, and just a good in a social setting. That's where Mike thrives. But also he's such a popular person for people to go to that you never know who you're going to see just talking with him, having a long conversation with them. So sometimes it's hard to even get in there and just like chat with him again, but you might just dap him up, say what's up. And, maybe like talk about, like one time he was joking about how it took so long for one question he was expecting to finally be asked. And it was like, because I asked it as last question, it had already been shut down. Last question, guys. And I'm like, wait, we got to get, it was Xavier Howard when the whole Xavier Howard thing was going on. He was like, yeah, I was surprised it took that long for a question about X to pop up. He's
a good dude. I just hope he can become a good coach because he's crazy. That's for sure. So we'll see. I don't have a lot of hope for this upcoming season, to be quite honest. How about Chop, dude? He goes from a lot of people crapping on him. I wasn't one of them, but there were a lot of people that were already calling him a bust in the first month of the season and all that, which is just stupid. But he obviously turned into a really good rookie season overall, and he's got no shot at winning Defensive Rookie of the Year. But to get the recognition and to be a part of it, I mean, it kind of proves that it was a successful pick, right?
Absolutely. And so you kind of place him. He's in the top 5 of defensive rookies if he's one of the 5 finalists. And that being the case, when the other 4 finalists, 2 are coming from the Eagles, which had a defense that was number 1 total defense, number 1 pass defense, and both of these guys being in the Eagles secondary.
Rookies that can play off of other people, whereas Chop had no one.
That's true too. That's a good point. That's a good point too. But yeah, but just, I mean, still getting that recognition when you have an Eagles defense going to the NFC Championship game that was number 1, number 2 scoring defense, number 1 pass defense, and it's Cooper DeJean and Quinyon Mitchell, who Mitchell, his coverage grades were off the charts, and Cooper DeJean, how versatile he is back there for that defense. To be up there with him, and then the 2 guys up front for the Rams, Jared Verse, who had all these pressures, quarterback hits, leading leading all rookies, and then also Braden Fisk, who led all rookies in sacks. Chop Robinson was second to him. So remember Fisk being a guy that we both liked in this past draft, but the Rams hitting home runs with their draft picks, with that young core that they have up front in the years since Aaron Donald has departed. So to be up there with these 2 teams were just in the divisional round of the playoffs, and then Chop Robinson on a defense that didn't make the playoffs, obviously a very good defense, but still being recognized as that caliber of rookie defender. That was great to see. 6 sacks for him this season. It took him the first half of the season. He didn't have his first sack until November, but then he went on a tear where we just kept seeing that chop celebration to the point where the whole sideline was doing it by the time he got that 6th sack in 8 games, in a great stretch for him. And you always kind of knew those pass rush wins and those pressures, it was going to start lead to sacks, and that those sacks would come in bunches eventually, and they sure did for him. So credit to him for the rookie season that he churned out, and I think he's got a bright future. It's only going to get better for him.
Yeah, I think it's a great story overall. And it's good to see, because with the issues you've had at pass rusher, with Phillips and Chubb, and probably Chubb is not going to come back, Phillips will be the guy that can play off of him, overall. And maybe, who knows, maybe you draft somebody else to kind of, with Kamara, and you kind of try to develop another guy there. So it's really important that you hit on it, because you were having some issues at defensive end, and you did not bring back AVG, who ended up having an all-pro season.
Yeah, that's the part that just irks me too, is in a season where, all right, you let AVG go because you're bringing in Shaq Barrett, and then he retires, and then you never have Bradley Chubb come back to playing from last year's injury. Jalen Phillips, maybe was it a rush back? Maybe not. But then he gets hurt with another season-ending injury, and then you don't really have that opposite presence with Chop Robinson. Sure, Emmanuel Ogbah, he did some things, and he had his moments too. But how valuable would it have been to either have an AVG there to start on the other side of him? Well, Chop didn't even start. It was he only had 1 start on the year, so still could stand to improve on setting the edge and run defense, which I think he had made some strides in that area too. But yeah, if you had sort of that other presence with him, then that would have just been so valuable for him. And at least he still had those voices in Chubb and Phillips in the room. So he had some veteran guys in his ear that were helping him along the way. But there's nothing like just having an offensive line have to worry about 2 bookend solid pass rushers especially when you also could bring the interior pass rush with Zach Sealer and the way he had another double-digit sack season. That would have just been brutal for opposing offensive lines.
All right, doggy. Sunday, 3 o'clock. What's the prediction? Eagles by 6, over and unders 47.5. What do you got?
Okay, yeah. I mean, I got the Eagles, and I haven't thought of it in terms of the spread, but yeah, if it's 6, yeah, I think it's one of those championship games where you're taking Washington. Boy, I mean, I feel like they had a good run, and then this is kind of like where it just comes to an end. I don't know. Historically, I feel like those. I mean, I do kind of look at it. It could be like the 21 Bengals.
Here's where I disagree with you. I agree with you that the Eagles will win, but I disagree with you. I think it'll be close.
Okay. Yeah.
Why? Washington can do something that the reason why Miami constantly has failed for 40 years. Washington can win at the line of scrimmage, bro. Offense and defensive line. Now, the Cosme injury on the offensive line is going to be a big one for them. But overall, Washington, they've had a defense for a couple of years now. They have players on defense. They got a line, bro. So they're going to be able to defend themselves in that sense. I think they keep it close, dude. I really do. And that kid's the real deal, Jaden Daniels. He's a passer. Like him. I like him.
Oh yeah, no, I mean we saw it that joint practice where he tore the Dolphins apart. You were there that day, right, Big O? He tore the Dolphins apart in a red zone drill. It was on the far field, and good thing, yeah. Us at the Sun Center, we have two writers watching. So Chris Perkins on this day was watching the offense on the near field, and I was watching the far field. I'm looking through my binoculars, and I'm like, Jaden Daniels, this kid is just, he threw 5 touchdown passes in a matter of a few minutes. Granted, of course, it's a red zone drill, so they just start a new play after the touchdown still in the red zone. For those not familiar with this joint practice setting, and it was just like one after the other, boom, boom. I mean, on Kendall Fuller, on Cater Kohu, it was to Terry McLaurin, it was to other, different receivers on different defenders. And boy, it was so impressive. And I said, all right, I think they got something in them. Now, as far as the line of scrimmage now, the Eagles are one of the best teams of the line of scrimmage on both sides. Getting the push up front. That's why they have that push. The defensive line for the Eagles is nasty. Now, they did split the two.
Understand how in football, you've got a draft on the D and the O line, and they do it every year. And so that's why they're constantly really, really good. And their quarterback ain't shit, by the way. Jalen Hurts is a great kid, a tough kid, and can run as a passer. He's mediocre, dude. He ain't shit. But when you got that running game and that goal line and all that, he doesn't have to be a great passer. And look at it. They can compete with him. They can win a championship with him. He's not a very good passer.
No, I know he's not. But I still think the Eagles, with everything else they have going for them, that defense and the O-line, the run game, Saquon Barkley, it doesn't matter who Saquon Barkley is going up against. He's going to get his. So, I could see it going their way. I don't know. I could see it like a 10-point game, a 31-21, something like that.
All right, you got Eagles minus the 6. All right, one more here quickly. Chiefs and Bills. The Chefs are favored by 1.5. The over and under is 48.5.
Yeah, man, I've been going back and forth on this one so much. And now, I told myself before this round, first I had the Ravens beating the Bills, and I said, okay, then the Ravens will go to the Super Bowl. But I was kind of thinking, all right, whoever wins the Ravens-Bills game, it's their time. They're going to go into Arrowhead and win, and I'll stay consistent with that. I'm going to say the Bills pull off the slight upset, and maybe by it's going to come down to the last possession, so by a field goal or something. It's going to come down to a field goal one way or another.
All right, I'm opposite of you again, but this one completely opposite of you on this one. I had Bills all the way. It was my favorite bet of the week last week. I put 3 times more the amount of money on that game than I did on all the other ones. That's how much you're going to give me 1.5. Yeah, let's go. I'm
with the Bills at home. Yeah.
Yeah, let's go. That was silly. And I'm taking the Chefs. Until you beat the Chefs, they have Mahomes on offense and Mahomes on defense. So as long as you have those two guys who are the best at what they do, one at quarterback and the best defensive lineman in the business is Chris Jones. So until you eliminate those game wreckers, they're going to keep going. And that secondary is absolutely awesome. So I am going with the Chefs and to beat the Bills. And the Bills don't have, this incredible receiving core. So I think this is where the Chefs end up getting it done because of that secondary and Chris Jones. So
yeah, I can easily see it going that way. Obviously, with how things have gone in recent years.
What do you got going on in the Sentinel so folks can check you out?
Yeah, I was just yesterday writing the Chop Robinson news, how he got he's a nominee for the Defensive Rookie of the Year. And I rolled out some interviews with Andrew Meyer was one of them. So undrafted rookie made the team, but was kind of stashed on the roster, didn't play. So, get to hear his perspective on how he can go into year 2 and start contributing, start playing. So check that out at the Sun Sentinel. And then also rolled out an interview that I did with Jeff Wilson at Locker Cleanout Day on how he felt he could have contributed this year. And he touched on things like his relationship with Mike McDaniel, how he was his position coach, or, Mike McDaniel's run game coordinator with the 49ers when he was a running back there, came over and hasn't made much of an impact as far as carries and getting opportunities, but how he still feels he's that guy. And at 29, he's going in very motivated into this offseason to make sure he can keep it going in the NFL. So, possibly a guy that if the Dolphins want to bring back and have him earn a roster spot, he could help in the short yardage situation. But I would like to see the Dolphins still get a physical running back to complement Devon Achane this upcoming offseason, and maybe also develop a Jalen Wright to be that guy as well.
All right, good. I just saw Teddy Swims is coming to Hard Rock Live. You know anything about Teddy Swims?
Sorry, we're breaking up, but what's that?
I just came across Teddy Swims is coming to the Hard Rock. You know anything about Teddy Swims?
Oh, no, I don't. In fact, yeah, when you said the name the first time, I thought it was like a commenter
No.
on your chat. No.
Dude, go check him out on YouTube. Teddy Swims.
Teddy
Swims. Yeah, like teddy bear, like a teddy bear. Teddy Swims. He's a bad mother effer. Okay, terrific artist, bro. Like fantastic. Okay. Seriously, not rock. When you see him, you're gonna go white CeeLo green.
I'm looking at pictures right now.
No, you got to hear him. When you hear him sing and do all that, you go white CeeLo green.
Okay.
Because that's immediately that comes to you like, hey, there's like a little CeeLo greenish to him, And so it's kind of like, I don't know if anybody that knows Teddy Swims, if they actually thought the same thing, but that's like, that came to mind when I see him. I go, oh shit, there's a little bit of CeeLo in there, And so, but he's really good, dude. Really good. Seriously. Check it out. Go check it out. All right.
I will.
All right. Yes. Follow on Twitter at David Furones _ and subscribe to the South Florida Sun Sentinel. David, have a fantastic weekend. We'll catch you on Tuesday.
Thank you. You too, sir.
You got it. Welt Rheaume. We love Jeff Welt and Daniel Rheaume. Bankruptcy, personal injury, commercial litigation, homeowner property damage, call our guys, Jeff Welt and Daniel Rheaume. They will get it done for you. I promise you. You're dealing with an insurance company that isn't doing their job, sick these guys on them, bro. These guys are bulldogs, bro. They'll go after it. They're going to protect you like a left tackle, and they're going to go after him like a defensive end. Jeff Welt and Daniel Rheaume, they are badass lawyers. Lots of our listeners have already enjoyed their success. 954-966-4646.
This is the Big O Show.